How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. I also got to put in the disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor and this isn't financial advice. So just know when you do invest, you're doing it at your own risk. So today we're going to be talking about SNDL, Sundial growers. I'm so excited to share this because in this video I'm going to be coming at you guys with a different angle. I want to make sure that I educate and inform you guys on this channel. So I won't waste any more time. So we're going to be going over the agenda. If you are new to this channel, I want to let you know we have timestamps down below in the description to make navigation easier. But if you are a shareholder or you're considering to take a position in SNDL, I suggest you watch the entire video. So the first thing that we're going to be going over is a recent article on the Hexo acquisition. I know what you're saying. What the hell does this have to do with SNDL? So you know what? I want you guys to be patient with me. We're going to go through that whole article, and they're talking about the acquisition and what it means for them and what this means for the whole entire industry and how this also impacts SNDL's future prospects. That's why we're going over it. Then secondly, we have some updated information on Fintel. I told you guys that I was going to be doing another video with that, and you're going to be seeing that today. What does this incorporate? We're going to be going over recent institutional buys. Are institutions loading up on SNDL? Are they selling out of their positions? Or are they not even touching it? And as far as for the short volume, we want to know, what is the overall market sentiment? Is it positive or is it negative? I feel this is key to know, especially if you're a shareholder. And then when that's done, we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution from Friday. I want to make sure that you guys are in the know and you know what you're holding, and you can add this to your homework and your due diligence. And then when all of that is done, I'll be giving you guys my final thoughts. So let's get into it. So we're now at Yahoo Finance, and we're just going to be taking a look at the recent news that came out for Hexo, which definitely had an impact on the overall cannabis sector. And I want to share it with you, and then we're going to go back and I'm going to talk about how this has an impact on SNDL. So Hexo Corp announces acquisition of Redecan to create Canadian market leader in adult use sales. So what does this acquisition mean for Hexo? So here's how it goes. So the combined company would hold #1 market share in Canadian recreational cannabis and hold #1 positions in 4 of Canada's largest markets, which is Alberta, British Columbia, Quebec, and Ontario. This also equips Hexo with one of the most robust brand portfolios in Canada. The combined company will be a leader across key consumer product categories with established distribution channels throughout the country. Redecan's lean production capabilities are expected to drive improved future financial performance and enhance potential to generate cash flow. Combined strength should provide a platform for global growth, leveraging Hexo's international reach. Co-founded by Pete Montour, Will Montour, and Richard Redekop, Redecan is a family-owned and operated Canadian cannabis company with agricultural roots stretching back 30 years. So this is definitely a big time deal here. And what we are noticing, especially in the Canadian market, a lot of companies are doing acquisitions or they're merging with other companies. We've noticed this also with Tilray and as well as Afria. But I'm going to be going into more details in regards to that in the final thoughts. But I want to bring this across your radar so you know what's going down in the industry and why it's had an impact on a lot of cannabis stocks, especially like SNDL. So we're going to be taking a look at the recent institutional ownership for SNDL and as well as the short interest information. So as we scroll down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So we could see here as far as May the 24th, we have Kingsview Wealth Management that purchased 13,785 shares. But if we take a look at May the 28th, which was Friday, we have Hap Van Eck Vector's National Resources ETF loading up with 91,467 shares. So this comes up to a total value of $103,000. $1,000. So definitely they are bullish on SNDL. And like I said, this was on Friday. So bear that in mind. So we are seeing institutions are seeing some bullish behavior in SNDL. If we take a look now at the short volume ratio, yes, it is extremely high. It is above that 21% that we normally look for, being at 37%. If we take a look at the short shares availability, this is also 4.1 million. And as far as for the short ball free rate, this stands at 1.70. Taking a look at the history of the short volume ratio, as we know, SNDL is no stranger to being above 21. We also have on days on May the 20th, it was at 12.23, which is very low for SNDL. And also on May the 19th, it was at 20.34. So just taking all of this into consideration, what that means is in regards to market sentiment, they are saying, hey, the price should be a lot lower, so I am shorting this stock. So I want you guys to be aware of that, and it's part of the reasons why if you are invested in this play, it's going to take a lot of patience. And again, this is not the type of play where you're going to be able to get a return on your investment very quickly here. But do keep in mind, if they end up dropping some sort of a big catalyst or some sort of big news, since it does have short squeeze potential, we can see some very strong movements in price action. Part of the reasons why I actually keep it on my radar. Now we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution for SNDL Sundial growers. Let's get into it. So on the inflow side, we had 161, and then on the outflow side, we had 163. On the large side, we had 0 for inflow. On the medium side, we had 113, and then for small, we had 49. On the outflow side, like I said, we had 0 for large. For medium, we had 112, and for small, we had 52. So almost dead straight even there. Again, it was 161 versus 163. When we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, we have 0 on the 27th, and we also have 0 on the 28th. So taking all of this data into consideration, and this was for Friday here, considering it was a 3-day long weekend that was coming up and there was a lot of selling, it did hold up fairly strong. And it's also part of the reasons why we saw some price strength from SNDL on Friday. Now, as far as what's going to be happening for next week, are we going to continue to have more buying or are we going to have more selling? Well, you know what? It's going to be interesting, because it did run up quite a bit. So I do feel that there should be a healthy pullback that's going to be coming. But again, we just got to be patient and wait to see what happens on Tuesday. I know it is the long weekend, right? So let's get into the final thoughts. So for my final thoughts for SNDL, it was definitely great to see some strong price action going into the long weekend. We also got to take another factor in place that I really want to highlight to you guys, because I want to make sure that you're aware of this. There's a term, and I've mentioned it on this channel for quite some time: rising tides float all boats. When this acquisition was announced, there were a lot of stocks in the cannabis sector that benefited with some strong price action. So taking all of this into consideration, SNDL was able to actually benefit from this. One thing that we do know though, SNDL is a different business with a lot of potential. But in regards to the article on this acquisition for Hexo, this gives them a very strong position overall in Canada. SNDL is also based in Canada. We're also seeing, as far as for the cannabis sector overall in general, the competition is getting very stiff. We also had Tilray and as well as Afrio do their recent merger, and there's acquisitions and there's so many deals that are going down, because again, the Canadian market, as far as the potential, especially years out, is looking really good, right? The demand is there. But also, what does this mean? For SNDL being priced of where it's at, and we already know they have a lot of cash on hand, they know that they need to compete. If they do not put that money to work, then they're not going to be able to compete and they're not going to have a successful business. So part of the reasons why I'm bringing this to your attention is to look out for SNDL to make some more deals, get into more acquisitions, and get companies at cheaper prices. Not only will this help their presence overall, but this will be reflected on the stock price and give more value to shareholders. Do keep in mind of the fact that since they're going to be focusing on growing, there could be some concerns in regards to dilutions coming later down the road. Because again, they need to make some more deals so they can compete in the overall space. So understanding this and being aware of what the competition is doing and knowing who the leaders are for SNDL, things are definitely going to get hot very, very soon here. And this is the reason why it is very key for SNDL, especially as future earnings report come out, that we see consistent improvements in regards to making the right investments and making sure that they're bringing in revenue, and also making sure that they're keeping their costs in line and keeping that EBITDA growing like it did on the past earnings report. If we don't end up getting this, that's when we're going to end up getting a lot of volatility in this stock. Another thing to also understand, yes, we did have some institutions who got into a position for SNDL. So we already know institutions are not going to be putting their money in stocks if they do not see a potential return on investment. Again, this is just another tool in the toolbox that we can use for our due diligence. Just because institutions are buying in, it doesn't mean that we should automatically buy in. I want to emphasize that. Taking a look also at the short volume ratio, it is fairly high. But again, if you're at SNDL, this is nothing new. This is something to be aware of. What does this mean? The overall market sentiment is negative. Many people that see the current price of SNDL believe that it needs to go down. So there's a lot of short sellers that are in this play. But do keep in mind, if SNDL can show that they're able to live up to their potential, put that cash on hand to use, and also if there's any big time catalysts or news or acquisitions or deals, then this stock price can definitely make some moves to the upside. But I do feel it's going to require some patience. And if you are in this particular play, then you're going to have to wait a while. And what I'm talking about by a while, at least 1 to 3 years. Things could happen within 1 year, but don't be saying, well, you know what, in about a month or two, I should be able to get a good return on my investment. But again, this also does depend on what your cost average is as well. Anyone who's doing any momentum trades or swing trades, pay attention to the technical analysis. Look out for those areas where it could possibly pull back to. Look out for those areas of support. Again, we've already spoken about this, and see if you could take advantage of it. I know many of you have already taken advantage, especially when it got down in the 70-cent range and then you sold at $1 to get a 30-cent profit. Hey, my hat's off to you. I was happy you guys were able to listen to me on that and get into the play. But aside from that, hey, this is the penny stock, comes with a lot of volatility, but we know SNDL has a lot of potential, and that's one thing I want you guys to be aware of. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.